listening to the Lucha Central Podcast Network. And now, LuchaCentral.com presents Masks, Mats, and Mayhem.
What were we talking about last night that we wanted to put in the intro?
Wait, what?
Johnny chest slaps. Welcome to another edition of Masks, Mats, and Mayhem. I am your host, the Outlaw LA Red. You can find me on the social media at JustinHarvey75. You can find the entire show on social media at MMMshow75. And I'm going to kick it off with that guy, Meefloaf. Meef, what's up? What are you watching?
I'm watching Phantasma.
What?
Or should I say
videos?
Santos Escobar?
Private Customs? What are you watching?
It's 205 live.
205
I
live.
Yeah, I actually get to watch Phantasma live. He's doing a little look at the camera now. It's quite fantastic.
So is that just where he's going to go now? Is he, now that he's the Cruiserweight champ, does he have to do that show like all the time?
No, I think it's just like filling it out, and obviously they do use him on there quite a lot, don't they?
He is the Cruiserweight champion, so it makes sense to be on the Cruiserweight show.
It does make...
But they call it the NXT title now, isn't it? It's NXT Cruiserweight title.
Yeah, which is why 205 Live is essentially an NXT show now.
Right.
Yeah.
But it also... It negates kind of the need for 205 Live to me. Let's just take the best guys from there and put them on NXT.
It's almost like Saturday Night Super Show, whatever it was called. You know? So I think it's like a little...
That must have been a different... Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That must have been a different name in England.
Yeah.
Did they have the Super
thing
Station?
Nah.
So, for those who don't know, Meefloaf is a big fan. I like to say fan because he is actually fanatic. I don't like to normally use that word, but there's a lot of HDF Phantasma stuff in Meefloaf's life. And so we unfortunately decided to record our podcast today while Phantasma was on. So if Meef doesn't talk, or if you see him drooling or saying stupid things like,
he's doing some fantastic submission holds. No, but I like this because it's in line with the gimmick at the minute, which is basically saying that Lucha Libre, and it's going back to the origins of Lucha Libre, which is actually a lot of mat wrestling mainly and submission holds. So I'm down for it.
What happens if he loses? Are we going to see you have a breakdown on the show?
Yeah, he doesn't lose.
He never
loses.
Jim. Oh,
that was mean. That was real mean.
You guys with this Drake Maverick versus whatever Escobar Santo Rio.
Hey, look,
his name is now.
we got to play to the gimmicks. He's got his gimmick, I've got mine, and then at the end of this, Jim's going to be laughing.
You think so?
Because Maverick will win at some point. So
eventually, like nice underhanded compliment. That up there is the Jimmy V at the Jimmy V. What's going on, man? How come you're not at Disneyland?
Because I refuse to be surrounded by people who don't feel like wearing masks, even though it's mandated.
Ever. Like, what is going on, man? I can't even open up Instagram anymore because it's like, as much as I really want to live vicariously through millennials that are having fun at the beach, like they're having fun in droves of like 50 without masks and stuff. And it seems to be kind of the case for wrestlers too. Though I know a lot of the wrestlers are being tested and they're just around each other. But man, I haven't seen a mask on IG in weeks now, months maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but just around each other is wrestlers are around wrestlers. You'll see a picture that has 4 different shows worth of wrestlers on, all on the same boat, you know? That's not safe.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? The thing about not being at Disneyland, at least with the whole mask situation, is that it made me realize that I shouldn't be going to Disneyland anytime soon. So more than likely, I will not be at Disneyland or any of the Disney parks until sometime next year. And as seen on our virtual Pop Expo panel that we did back in April, confirmed, as long as it still happens WrestleMania weekend, I will be at Disneyland with a slew of people.
Well, see, you're picking the right time to go back. That sounds right about like a month or so after a vaccine will probably have come out, and I think that you're going to be safe. Wishful thinking for you, Jim. Wishful thinking.
You have a vaccine, don't you? I thought you had to drink bleach.
Oh, stop it.
You drink bleach and you put light bulbs up.
Don't make fun of our president, Mr. Foreigner.
You inject it.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
That's where I went wrong.
After that was said, people did that. So
yeah, because you're a country like us full of absolute fucking moronic dickheads.
Wow. But this guy.
But
it ain't natural selection ain't just a move from Charlotte Flair.
But you could say a lot of bad things about a government, but I'm pretty sure most of them, their family trees don't run in circles.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
How did this? How did we get here already? And Casey's not even here.
She's like totally.
No.
So by the way, look, where is Casey?
If she wants my daughter.
Where's Casey? I can tell you where Casey is. He's out in the desert area. He went out there to have some meetings about ball shavers, hopefully. And hopefully next time we see Casey, there'll be some very, very good news. He's been so adamant about it. It's really hard for him to even do the show, as you probably listened to or seen on the show, without talking about it. I think that there's like some very prickly issues going on there for Casey. So it's of dire need and importance for him to get this whole thing resolved for us. That up there, who I never introduced, is
it's
sorry, we can skip it.
It's at Byron Fever. I am one of the co-hosts of the Masks, Mats, and Mayhem show, which if you live anywhere worldwide, you may have seen us on Facebook. Also, I made a short film, Delusions of Morons. If you haven't seen it yet, please see it, because if the view counts don't go up, I'm going to keep talking about it on the show.
Oh my God.
It's a documentary.
Yeah. Whatever.
I mean, it might as well be.
Well,
it's a podcast. I thought this podcast was Delusions.
Anyway, watch the show and then tell me if you think it's a documentary.
Hey, I gotta say this. Take one good look at the tan curtains here, the beige curtains, or whatever you want to call these things, because after this week, you're not going to see them for a couple of months, because I am going to be out in the wild on the road doing a TV show that is one of the very few that has been greenlit in the entire industry because of our excellent safety standards that are proprietary now. I'm not even allowed to talk about what they are because everyone wants to copy them. But we have some excellent safety protocols. So I am going back out on the road. So you'll be seeing me from hotel rooms all across the country over the next couple months. And that'll be interesting.
I will say, Justin, likelihood, beige curtains.
I will make you all this promise. If I find, for those who watch this on video and don't just listen to it, if I find a hotel room that has beige curtains, I will absolutely set up to do the podcast with them in the background, just so everyone feels warm and fuzzy and at home. All right, I want to talk about a couple of things before we get to this actually very good episode of Lucha Underground, which will bring us back to several points that we've kind of already touched on, which you guys don't realize. But I want to talk about wrestling cliches that no longer matter, because this has been a source of contention. Byron and I have been talking about it, like hulking up. Let's talk about hulking up. Does the classic no sell, which is what it really is, does it have any place in wrestling anymore?
I think it does, but I think it needs a new spin. You know what I mean? Like, I think that it's like, I remember listening to old Stone Cold podcasts. He'd talk about matches. He'd be like, this is like, now he wanted another 5 minutes on some matches he was critiquing. And it's like, you get to the end, you get to that part where you do the Hulk up, and usually it goes to the finish, right? And nowadays you do the Hulk up, you get people excited, you do a near fall, and then you have another like 10 minutes. And I think you got to do something like that, where you're still using the conventions that we respond to, but freshen it up a little bit.
Okay, what do you think, Jim? Hulking up, yay or nay? Is this a cliche that needs to go away?
I mean, it's a cliche for a reason in wrestling, in the fact that, it should be leading to the finish. And as Byron pointed out, this shouldn't be happening in the middle of the match. If anything, there should be the Hulk up and then maybe a little bit of a back and forth, and then within 2 minutes.
I mean, but you get matches like there was one on NXT a couple weeks ago where there was just like no sells and what. Even Cross has done it recently with he didn't really Hulk up, but it was definitely a no sell, we're gonna bruise each other kind of moment. But it wasn't New Japan style either. It was like
sort of the German
new take
thing.
What's that?
I like his new version of it. I like his version, like of that. Like you said, he needs a freshening. I kind of like his thing of like, just being kicked, getting up, screaming, not doing that whole walking along the fucking rope, grabbing hold of it kind of shit.
Right.
You see some people do. They still do the almost full Hulk up where they actually, you see them doing this, whereas he just likes like hit me, fucking hit me. I like that version.
Okay, it's a little more street thuggish.
Yeah,
I can buy that. But along the same lines, the next one I want to get to though, because there's a few of them I got here, Byron. So I don't want to take 35.
Yeah, I just want to say the whole. Okay, well, yeah. Okay, go ahead. Because I wanted to bring up an end to a match, but it might be.
Well, the next one kind of goes hand in hand with that a little bit, which is the kick out at 2 after a finisher. Are we done with this yet?
Jim, close your ears.
I mean, I think there's a place for it. I think if it's a big
there?
I do, but I also think it's getting to be a bit much. It was getting to be a bit.
Can we stop calling moves finishers then? Because it's kind of an oxymoron if it's a finisher and then there's a kick out at 2 because it didn't finish anyone.
I mean, personally, I love how New Japan handles it, and if your guy isn't going over, then he probably won't hit his finish. Like I've gone to shows. While I was talking to Brandon, one of the camera guys, he was so disappointed. He's gone to like 3 different New Japan shows, hasn't seen a Destino yet. Whereas WWE,
right. That's great.
Right, because it protects it. Like you, but when you hit it, there's a reason why someone kicks out. Maybe you hit like a quick flash version of your finish, not the full one.
Yeah, and I don't even know what move it was, but on AEW, the second half of Fyter Fest, there was something where it was like, yeah, no one has not gotten pinned by this move yet. And they actually said that. And it was like, okay, I respect that. Please keep doing that. Because if you're going to keep using a finisher, you want it to count when the finisher doesn't finish. But they've been...
There's almost the thing like Bill Goldberg was and several wrestlers in our kind of era was that kind of, their finishing move was it was going to be a finisher. And then when someone finally kicked out of it, it was like, it was almost like retiring the Undertaker or beating the Undertaker at WrestleMania was somebody's finishing move. It was like a little thing that somewhere, if in a rivalry, because rivalries used to last for 6 months and be built to, rather than having 30 matches in that time. Something that people might not grasp. But like when someone along the line would kick out of a rock bottom, and it was like, oh fuck, they might actually beat The Rock now at WrestleMania when it finally comes around.
Right, but they're trying to make me feel that way about a match on every single show. Yeah. There's at least one match on every major wrestling show that has it like twice in the match. Not even just once.
I get on smaller shows, indie shows, you paid your, $15, $20 and you're going to, and all these guys, they have the one show in front of the one crowd. And so it's like Cage, his gimmick, you're doing all your moves. You're doing as many moves as you can. And I get that. But it's also, no matter what, if you're going to do that, if you're going to do New Japan, if you're going to do whatever style, it has to work. If you're going to kick out of 10 finishes, you have to make the actual finish work. It has to.
All right. I gotta say, Jim, you go to a lot of indie shows, you go to a PWG, a lot of stuff too. And it is very common at these kind of shows. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I was going to say this is pretty much standard fare for PWG but they're able to make it work. But then again, PWG is a different beast where they don't have weekly TV. They only have shows every 2 to 3 months, longer now. But each of those shows are, special in their own way because a lot of these talents may or may not come back, or some of these talents may never face each other again. PWG is one of those places where, magic can happen and it's lightning in a bottle in a way with these matches. So someone kicking out of someone's finishing move multiple times within a given match, I think is perfectly acceptable if it's done right. Have it being done on weekly TV, I don't think it should be.
And that's where I completely agree with Jim. Like, I don't mind somebody trying to do a 20-minute classic that isn't the headliner match where there's some kickouts and it feels like an NXT pay-per-view. That's great. And I like it too when NXT does it on their pay-per-views, on a takeover or something big.
Well, it's when they do it.
Like those matches.
When they do it 6 matches in a row.
There was 75 kickouts.
Finishing moves. I don't know if I count the last one. But it wasn't a real takeover to me.
Yeah, but NXT does such a great job with building actual feuds that build to a culmination at the takeover. No falls or no count, no DQ, that stuff for cage matches. You don't want it to end like a regular match. I get that, but they do like 6 matches like that. you just get tired by that. You get worn out by two.
And I also feel this in a similar way with NXT to PWG is that you want to feel like a lot of the roster is on the same level all the time, that they do know each other, that there is some familiarity there, but there's a fine line. So like, I'm not totally over it, but we'll see. So here's another one for you.
Well, hold on. While we're there, I just want to say something I like with New Japan and that AEW Dark does is
is that a show? Is that a wrestling show? What is?
It's their Tuesday YouTube show. It's not that
Tuesday on YouTube. Okay, I don't know if I'm familiar with that network.
Well, I'm just
I'm just messing around. Go ahead.
You should check out YouTube. There's some weird stuff you might be into.
Okay.
They finish matches with secondary finishes or with signature moves. Okay. So if it's a jobber match, you know, it's like that's when, you know, and like Shida will win with a Falcon Arrow instead of the knee, you know?
I get that. I like that. I like mixing it up. But if I'm a guy who doesn't watch that, then I'm just left with the other thing. And then, oh, bless you.
Yeah, thank you.
Meef looked like he was going to explode there. He was trying to hold that sneeze in for you audio listeners, but instead he just almost blew his eardrums out. It was kind of.
Meanwhile, he has a mute button.
Yeah, you were bragging.
I couldn't reach it, Jim. I couldn't reach it.
All right, here's another one for you. The hot tag.
Yeah.
Is there anything hot about the hot tag anymore? Does it even work? Like watching Jungle Boy Jack and Luchasaurus in AEW the other day. It's like Jungle Boy Jack's taking the punishment for ever and ever and ever. And then here we are in an empty stadium waiting on a hot tag to Luchasaurus. I mean,
not in that environment.
And I am a big fan of Luchasaurus right now. I really like what he's doing in general with the character. I like how he's taken it to another place. I'm totally a fan. So this is no diss at all. But man, like 16 wrestlers standing around a cage, clapping it up for a hot tag just seemed like the most contrived moment in wrestling to me in the last few weeks. I was just like, wow, that doesn't work. So is the hot tag a thing of the past?
Isn't it though? I suppose the thing is in this environment, it's a bit difficult for them to do. But the problem is it's so built into tag team wrestling. Mm-hmm. It's got they sometimes don't know what to do without it. If you know what I mean, they build matches constantly with that in already. It's always like, so I don't know. It's like a classic romance film. There's always certain parts that there's always certain parts of the film that are like in there. So the hot tag's got to be in there, but how do you do it in this environment where there is no fans? So I would say they probably have to do it. They do it still, but have to work a way that it's not some kind of like you said, looking contrived.
I mean, the key to the hot tag is you are trying to make the audience want to see that next piece of the story, that turning point in the story. And far too often too, my other problem with the hot tag is they cool it too fast. They get the hot tag, but then they don't feed to the guy. They don't let him do enough stuff or keep the momentum going. They want to break it up too fast and get back to more action from the bad guys or whatever. Because there's good guys and bad guys in wrestling, if you guys didn't know.
The feed is so important. It's almost more important than the build to an extent. But I mean, I think the hot tag is great. I think it's a huge part. I think it's just a huge part that works in the tag matches. Enzo and Cass were phenomenal at it. American Alpha was phenomenal at it. Like tag teams were really great in NXT for a while.
Maybe that's part of the problem too, is that a lot of these teams that are doing stuff like this, they're doing a hot tag in these impromptu matches where they're protecting for a pay-per-view or something. So it's two people that don't normally tag together, or it's an intergender match where it's like, okay, but even if the hot tag happens, we know you're going to switch out genders on the other side too. So you're going to have two fresh people. Like it doesn't work to me there.
I think I remember the Luchasaurus thing that you were referencing, and he's done some sort of hot tag stuff in like a battle royal or like a big, schmoz with a bunch of people. But I don't think his timing was down. Either him or the opponents.
And it's great too, and I get it too. It's like the one big man in the match. You want to protect that move set and have those moves come in and look impressive, and they did. Yeah. They did. He did his spin kick and he did his standing moonsault thing, and it's like you see a guy that size do those moves, and you're like, damn, that's some good shit.
I think him and Ward though are still figuring it out between the two of them because they've had two matches in the past couple of weeks, and there was one just little things like he did a leg sweep. and he did it. He swept from the Luchasaurus swept from the front, which is a cool look on it, and then you fall on your face. But Wardlow took the back bump instinctively.
Right.
Next match, they tightened
got
it up
together. Well, and look, I in that part of it makes me just kind of want to see him back in solos matches as much as I like that teaming, and I think they have good chemistry and it works for storylines. Like, I'd love to see Madison break out and really do his thing and finally get a run somewhere, since he really just every time he gets close, he gets cut off. How do you feel about the hot tag, Jim?
I mean, I feel like the hot tag's just as much a part of wrestling as a collar elbow tie up at the beginning of most matches. Okay. It's part of it. Like, regardless of the crowd or not, it's still telling that part of the story. So even if there is a lack of an audience, there's still an audience watching on television who still feels that emotion, regardless of the fact that they may not hear the clapping and the cheering and the crowds given the pandemic right now. But I can't see a tag match happening without it. But yeah, to all of your points, there can't be just like, oh, here's the hot tag and the payoff is 2 seconds long before both members of the other team squash it. Like,
well, I think also the announcers have to bear a little bit of the responsibility of it too. Like, I need that. You know, if we're going to do the cheesy cliche move, you almost need the cheesy cliche commentary. Like, I need Shivani with the, here comes Luchasaurus. He's in there. Big spin kick. He's going to town on these guys. Like, I need that, almost that cheesy moment where you sell it. Whereas the announcers are too busy talking about the storylines and the talking points leading to the next match and whatnot. So like they're
not even talking about that. They're talking about Pulp Fiction references that someone can't remember.
yeah, that's even worse.
They're joking with you. Wait. Was it Tony or was it Jim that brought up?
JR was like bringing it up because of the Blade's mask.
Blade's mask
that he was wearing, that he wears to the ring, and he couldn't remember the reference. It's like, don't make the reference if you can't complete it, and then you have everyone else trying to complete it for you. And he's like, oh yeah, that's it. It's like, no, shut up. This has nothing to do with the match.
Yeah, he can maybe not even make that reference in the first place.
All right, so this one is twofold: the count out and the tag count. The tag count, where you know legally for those younger listeners, you're supposed to hold a tag rope. You're supposed to get tagged in, and then you have 10 seconds for your partner to get out of the ring. And if you don't, you're supposed to be disqualified or at least admonished in some fashion.
Yeah.
Also, that really bothers me so much.
If you broke up more than 2 pins, if your partner came in and broke up more than 2 pins, you get disqualified.
Here's my feeling on it. It's like, you know, rule sets have to be consistent in a promotion. Like ECW, I don't need it, because we all know that, like, it's Extreme Championship Wrestling. We're going to play fast and loose with the rules. If these guys march around the whole arena outside of the ring, they're not going to get counted out. There's not too many count out finishes that you can think of in ECW history. They did it consistently. But then you've got promotions that want those ECW type moments. And yet it's like, no, these two guys, just because it's a championship match, you're making up some reason now in the middle of the match. You didn't put it as a stipulation before that they can just march all around the arena and the match is still going and there's no one being counted out. And then other times when it's convenient to protect a storyline or a wrestler, all of a sudden the count out counts, you know, but never do I see the 10 count for the you know, tag thing ever matter. It's like sometimes it's a 2-on-1, whatever. I'm just it irks me.
I like it when they have the rules. I mean, I love how JR complained about it for years until they made a new wrestling company just to have tag rules, just so he can announce and talk about them the whole time.
Right.
But I like it because it's rules, and then it's a consistent thing, and it gives all the wrestlers something to play off of. You know, like,
I honestly believe that AEW is the promotion that should enforce them both. They should do time limits. They should do count outs. They should do tag counts, and they should make them matter. Like, I would love to see out of the blue, you know, people thinking a big match is going to happen, and then the tag team guys are both in the ring doing a combo move for too long, and they get disqualified and the match is over, just like out of nowhere. Well, I would love to see that.
There's that, and you know, that's something no one's seen. And then there's also FTR comes in, and now they have, you know, all these insults they can toss at the Lucha Brothers about tag rules.
That would be hilarious. Because Lucha Brothers have never once followed any tag rule of any kind.
They're like, we'll wrestle you guys once you learn how to do it.
The second they are standing on the apron, no one ever knows which Lucha Brother is the legal man. Neither one of them has ever been the legal man. They've never legally won a tag match in their entire careers.
We have to get into this, though.
What do we have to get into?
There's something called Lucha Rules. Yeah.
But then now you can.
But I like that though, and that's fine. If they're going to be the team to break the rules because they are luchadors, that would be hilarious.
But that gives you so much storytelling you can do. Go ahead.
What they should do is what, Meef?
Go ahead.
Meef. Byron's talking.
Meef.
Byron's always talking though, so just go ahead.
Meef.
Hey Jim, what do you think?
Yeah. So what I was going to say was what they should do is play up on it. And basically, when the Lucha Brothers do something, be like, no, you can't do that. And the referee should stop them from doing the change. And then they should argue with the referee that, no, wait, is it Lucha Rules? Etc., etc. But the thing for me is the count-out one is it's not consistent in actual matches. So you'll have people being counted out, and then the next time they're outside the ring, they won't be counted out. The referees don't apply it every time during even singular matches, let alone across an entire TV show. So that's where it becomes really annoying for that. But like with the tag one is, again, kind of for me, I always thought it was 5 seconds. Just because, the referees that you get them going, come on, get out, and does that. So I always thought it was a 5 second for that growing up. But if they apply it and actually, but what you can do if you disqualify them, then people are going to kick off you disqualified them.
But you get the storytelling, and then you get to get into the different backgrounds. Now you have let's say you have FTR, you have traditional tag wrestling. So they go and you have a match, and then Lucha Brothers gets disqualified because they break all the rules. So now they have a very strict traditional match. And part of the storytelling is, can they still be effective, having a different style or being a little bit handicapped? And then after that, then you could go to a Lucha Rules match, which could be, nearly Tornado Rules, and which is my kind of match. And then, it's just, you have so much more to go instead of, let's just have 3 tag matches.
Look, I like Lucha Rules. It's just not consistent.
No, they don't declare it either. They don't say this match is Lucha Rules. Yeah,
right. We have to distinguish. We have to distinguish it. If it's a stipulation, that's great. If it's not, let's call it out. I just think it's become a cliche, and it's too ignored. It's like, well, then why even have the rules? A tag match should just be Lucha Rules all the time. Or if you're going to pretend that there's rules, let's actually have them matter.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of that Red Hell in a Cell.
Why would you even think about that?
Seth Rollins got a disqualification
from a Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah. He beat up the Fiend, and basically the referee. Oh no, it was a TKO. I think he killed him, or apparently destroyed him. And it was like, they ended the match, and it was like, but it's
you're trying to remember a match that nobody should remember. Just for
no,
it was bad.
We're trying to.
It was bad, but like when the finishers, and they've done that several times since. People do that with these matches. It's like, no, they'll be like, the championship match. You can't lose a championship by disqualification. So just hit him with the belt. Someone needs to do that. No one's ever done that. So it needs to be someone should do it.
Ric Flair used to DQ himself by throwing people over the top rope when he was a heel champ.
All right, Jim, you got any thoughts on this tag thing?
I mean, one of my biggest pet peeves is the fact that for tag matches, they make they go through the trouble of removing the tag rope from the turnbuckle. Right. So that way it's out so people can use it. And a lot of times people don't use it. I mean, the ones that I notice using it are people like FTR, people like Undisputed Era, like the people who really do tag team wrestling a lot. They're the ones who are doing it. But I'm just like, it needs to be consistent. So it bugs me so much because it's like the whole point of the tag rope is the fact that the tag isn't legal unless you're holding onto the tag rope. Yeah. And they even go through the trouble if it's like if it's a 6-man match, they'll put out 2 tag ropes for the corner, so both members can be holding on the tag rope. And then they never.
And I remember watching Mid-South and WCW and NWA back in the day, and bro, you tried to come in and you didn't hold the tag rope, and the ref didn't see you holding the tag rope and make the tag. It was like a big deal, and that was always like a fun little spot. And I feel like that's the part of the wrestling cliche they need to bring back, of actually using it.
Yeah, so, I want to see 2 heels behind the back of the ref, even when they don't need to, not clap. They just do this.
and there used to be spots like that, and they were always kind of fun. All right, so here there's 2 left. There's 2 left. The closed fist.
Right.
Closed fist rules these days are just crap. Like, if you're going to use a closed fist,
non-existent.
You're supposed to get admonished from the ref. Like, I don't even think it's a rule in wrestling anymore. That used to be the rule for you youngsters out there. There used to be a rule in wrestling that you were not allowed to use a closed fist. And when you saw somebody do it, that was like a heel move. You know, and dudes would get knocked out, and the match would get called off, and that would be a DQ, and it would be a big deal. Like, it's not boxing. This is wrestling. You can't use a closed fist. Nowadays, like, dudes are just throwing punches and clobbering people left and right. And half the time it doesn't even hurt them either. Because the other side of the closed fist is when somebody uses it, we all watch UFC and MMA now. You know what an open shot with a closed fist does to a human being. It is not a secret or mystery to anybody anymore. There's not, people aren't wearing 12-ounce boxing gloves at MMA. We know that if you connect with a haymaker to somebody's jaw, they are out. If you are a real athlete, they're out. The other person is out cold on the mat. Like, throwing these fists all day and not having dudes go down or sell them or no selling punches, to me is just like, no. Then they need to be open hand, pancrase style slaps. Or they need to be chops, or they need to be forearms, something else that is not represented as a closed fist. A closed fist should be a knockout blow and should be completely illegal, and that will make it more exciting for a guy like Cross, like when he hits somebody for real.
I agree. I mean, he brought up Big Show. Like, that's obvious. Like, that was the best use of a punch in America, I think, in a long time. If he's going to punch you, you're out.
You're out.
William Regal.
Yeah.
But also, technically, he should have been disqualified for every single match he used it in.
Well, it's not a DQ move. It's a...
No, it is.
Don't do this anymore.
It's supposed to be.
It's a closed fist. If you use a closed fist, you're supposed to be DQ'd. Yeah. Not even admonished.
Especially if you win with it. Like, they can admonish you and restart the match, but it's like a low blow. It should be like a low blow in MMA, where it's like, okay, no, that was illegal. You get a second. Do you want to continue? Like, if they did something like that in wrestling, and especially that comment is geared towards AEW that says it wants to present wrestling more like a sport, then they should be the ones to have the onus of doing that. Like, if you guys really want me to believe in these records mattering and these rules mattering and time limits being a thing again now, which is cool. I like how they're dealing with time limits and count outs and stuff like that. But okay, great. Bring back the closed fist, bring back the tag ropes, bring back the tag timing. Like, they should be the company to do it. Ring of Honor was decent with it for a while. I'll give them credit. They were actually very good about that for a good stretch.
Do you guys remember? It's been a while since we've had a lot of New Japan shows. A lot of my preference is New Japan match styles and rules. But do you guys remember like Ibushi matches? Like, even back when, like, Wrestle Kingdom like 10 against Shinsuke, or when he was going up against Okada, I believe recently. Like, one, they don't do punches in New Japan unless, like, Suzuki will do it. But, like, Ibushi uses it amazingly, where, like, he wrestles and wrestles. They all do forearms. But at one point in the match, he'll just cold clock someone, and he'll get that dead look in his eyes, and the whole Tokyo Dome will go just crazy, or like chills everywhere. And Red Shoes, they're not even trying to finish the match. Red Shoes is like, you're trying to murder this guy, and like it's goosebumps,
And that's a realistic presentation of it, because that's what would happen in real life, man. You can't Kimbo slice somebody up in the middle of a wrestling match. That's not the way it works, man. And if you've seen a Kimbo slice match, you know exactly what happens when somebody gets punched for real. Those matches are like 1, 2, 3. Oh, wow, that dude is dead.
Yeah, even the one he lost.
I mean, I think the thing is with this, it's like I totally get in the realm of a wrestling match. Yeah, the closed fist shouldn't be happening, and it makes sense that it wouldn't happen. But if you're trying to do it in the the realistic sense of like trying to watch a wrestling match, theoretically, if someone's thrown against the ropes, they shouldn't be able to turn around, bounce off the ropes, and come back at you.
Yeah, but it's
okay.
I get that in the realism.
Yeah.
But
maybe that's why I like that blood sport style that they were doing, because that doesn't happen in there very often. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, there are no ropes.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the last one. Here's the last one for you. It connects. Go ahead.
The thing is that you see a lot of times is the referee will admonish someone for using a closed fist. You see him telling them off because it's the kind of the pageantry of the referee not knowing if it was like a proper closed fist that connected to a jaw or something. But also if you look at Stone Cold and all these other guys when they used to do these little punches, it's like they're slapping them with the
palm strike.
Scott Hall
it's a closed
slaps
fist.
the neck.
No, but Stone Cold's punches used to be a closed fist, but like a slap is really weird. I always found that really weird.
It's the nugget
really
punch.
Weird.
All right, he was a legend, and you don't need to drag.
He's a wife beater. He's a wife beater.
Wow.
He's a wife beater.
Wow.
I'm sorry, but if we've got to have problems with people who do domestic abuse,
Meat does not
drag them all.
words.
Okay, but he did. I think he paid for that, or that all got sorted out. We just
so if you pay money for it, it's fine.
No, I mean like that.
Where's
like,
Casey when you need a good Stone Cold impression?
I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong. I thought like no, he was horrible for a long time, but I thought he kind of got to the other side of that.
All right, here's the last one for you. Here's the last one for you. Super kicks.
I have one to add after this. Then.
Oh my God, you have one after super kicks? Super kicks. What to say about super kicks?
Super kicks are pretty much just as common as a right hand now.
Is me showing us his crotch?
No, he was
leg slap.
Leg slap.
Doing a Johnny Ham slap.
I mean, if it works, it works. If it works, it works. If you want a super kick to be your finish, then you have
wow. We can't even call them finishers anymore. When does a super kick ever get to finish anybody anymore?
Yeah, to be fair, like that's pretty much like Jake Roberts used to have the DDT as his finisher. Now the DDT is just a common move. So I just see it hasn't been a finisher in a long time. Like, obviously, when Shawn Michaels was using it originally, it wasn't even a finishing move until they decided, he's using this now, so we're going to make it his finisher.
Right.
Was it
established? It's just a basic move.
No, the teardrop.
So my thing with the super kick is, though, as much as the Young Bucks are probably villainized for overusing it by people who don't like them, I kind of
don't even use it anymore.
I know, but I liked a lot of how they were using it because it would be a bump out spot where they would do their super kicks and then the other team would have to roll out for a while, showing the effect of it. It sells the move. A lot of times we're getting these super kicks in the room when people in the ring, when people are feeding and stuff like that. And it's just like this endless cycle of weird super kick spots. And I'm just like, what is going on now? Yeah. Like, does anybody here acknowledge what it feels like to get kicked under the chin? Like, I've been kicked under the chin. It's pretty much the most awful thing that can happen to you as a human being in a fight. It's really bad.
I suggest looking up the clip from Ring of Honor where Adam Cole joined the Bullet Club and Steve Corino, Mr. Wrestling the Third's super kick counter was on the bottom of the screen. I still laugh at that because it's hilarious.
Well, that's funny. But like then people have taken that to the next level though, where they make it serious again. And it's like, no, you guys are missing the point. And when the Young Bucks do it, it's even tongue in cheek. Like,
well, they're so smart about what they do. And back to when we were talking about the 2 counts, they're so smart about hitting a lot of moves or tag team moves that would be finishes, but it's in the tag format. So you don't have a kick out as much as you'd have someone breaking it up. And it protects everything.
I like the breakup. I'm a big fan of that. What was the one you were going to add, Byron?
I wanted to talk about...
Again.
Okay.
Sorry.
Murder it, Meef.
So, I was just going to add
this better be good.
I was going to add the whole finishers and the super kick together by saying things like, you can still have moves like the DDT. Raven did it after Jake did. and it was starting to get used as more of a normal move then.
Well, Alexa Bliss.
You can still have somebody have a version of it that's impactful or whatever. Johnny's got one. Obviously, it's obviously slightly different because of the jump and Randy Orton with the rope.
Which Johnny? But, Johnny Fatboy? Which Johnny gimmick name are you talking about?
Johnny Sounds Thigh Slaps.
No.
Johnny Thigh Slaps?
Yeah. But the thing is, well, is
DDTs.
This again, super kicks. There are different. Like if Aleister Black did a super kick, you'd be like, "Oh fuck, motherfucker's dead."
Well, Andrade does the hammerlock DDT. Bliss used to have a straight up DDT, and she used to have, I don't know, maybe she still does, but she also had a punch that would be her finish too. Speaking of everything we're talking about,
which I like.
Yeah.
But if Phantasma's got the jumping super kick.
I don't mind wrestling evolving to a certain extent. I think my issue with some of these cliches is like, I feel like people just aren't paying the proper respect to what is going to tell the story effectively. It's like, look, there's being exciting in the ring and hitting exciting spots and the acrobatic nature of it and the selling nature of it. That's fun. But at the same time, the rules also help establish when those things can be even more exciting. And I feel like wrestling by and large has really started to forget some of these things. In general, were you going to add another one, Byron, or can I go talk to Denise now?
I want to add one more.
I really need to hear Denise Salcedo's voice soon.
I think we're over time as usual, but I wanted to just bring up real quick kickouts. I think kickouts. Everyone always.
Denise.
Everyone harps about pins and hooking a leg and blah blah blah. I think kickouts are such an underrated art form. I know Darius Carter would agree with me because we've tweeted each other about it. But when you're doing a near fall, like a 2.9 kick out, but at 2, you already have your legs up, like you're starting the kick out motion. It's not a suspenseful kick out. Like there's certain guys. Sami Zayn was amazing at the babyface kick outs. Chris Hero is another one, and he also did. He's the first one I saw using the one kick out, the kick out at 1 effectively, which those are great. But like, you have to be good at kickouts, and you have to do it
convulsion.
Right.
Like, it's like sort of
also,
in it.
Yes. Also, you have to be good. Like, it's not just, if you're trying to do a 2.5 kick out, don't start your legs kicking at like 1 3/4. Also, kick out before 3. A lot of happens so much. And in tag matches,
Johnny Gargano this week.
You have a pin and someone just walks up and just puts the hand on the back and then the ref stops counting. The guy's shoulders are still down.
But that Johnny is my favorite Johnny gimmick name right now.
He tries hard. So also I like his super kick to an opponent on their knees. That should be a finish too.
Yeah, I love that.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. That's something that's a hybrid of the super kick. Still super kick.
I love Adam Cole. It looks way better than
you can sell it.
Wizard.
Jim, anything to add? Since these guys have really just kind of gone someplace, I don't even know where they are anymore.
I just say we throw it to Denise.
Denise, Lucha Central, please tell us what else is happening on the Lucha Central Podcast Network this week.
Hey everyone, it's Denise Salcedo here in Lucha Central with a reminder of where and when to catch your favorite shows each week or when to try a new one. Tuesdays, it's the Lucha Underground centered show, Mats, and Mayhem. Check out the premiere video stream every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on the Lucha Central YouTube channel and at luchacentral.com. Then listen to it on your favorite podcast platform every Wednesday. Also on Tuesdays, it's Tuesday Wrestle Boss with Fabi Chulo, live, covering pro wrestling and MMA from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Pacific. Head to WrestleBossLive.com to listen live and even call in or download it Wednesday across podcast platforms. Wednesday nights, live on Facebook, it's Spanish show La Mesa de los Márgaros, giving you both the news and the chisme from around the lucha world. Find the video version on Facebook Wednesday through Friday, and then Saturdays, download the audio version in podcast form. Thursdays, it's Straight Out of the Bodega with Papo Esco and PWR promoter Gabriel Ramirez. Guests from throughout the wrestling world make this a must-listen series, And this week, El Rudo de las Chicas, Sam Adonis, joins the show to talk about his non-traditional route to the main event of Arena Mexico, first making a name for himself in the UK and then Mexico and more. On Friday, it's your double dose of Lucha Central Weekly podcast, one in English y el otro en español. Lucha Central Weekly is where you'll find all the top stories of the week, both inside and out of the ring from Mexico and anywhere luchadores are in action across the globe. Find out what's happening in empty arenas across Mexico, including Chaos, Lucha Time, and the latest from Mas Lucha, as well as Lucha action in WWE, NXT, and AEW. Also, if you missed any of last week's shows, including Vampiro on Lucha Libre Figures and Facts, Boss Fight Studios' Eric Araña on Business of the Business, or Thunder Rosa on Mass Mats and Mayhem, LuchaCentral.com has links to it all for you. Be sure to subscribe and follow all your favorite Lucha Central Network series on your favorite podcast platforms. And please be sure to give a rating and review to help more fans find the shows that you love. For now, this is Denise Salcedo signing off from Lucha Central. Have a great week.
That's all the exciting stuff that's happening here on the Lucha Central Podcast Network from Denise Salcedo over there in Lucha Central. I just like saying Lucha Central.
Central.
Does she have a great voice?
Central,
I like that.
Downtown Central.
Now, Kleinrock said somebody else might start doing some of those. I'm going to be really bummed if that happens. I don't know. Like,
is it going to be one of us?
If the first break is if the first break is not Denise, I say we quit. I say we riot.
He should
just me going, buy some shit, listen to some shit. It's all fine. Go on.
All right, we got to get to an episode of Lucha Underground. This is season 1, episode 10. And I'm going to say right off the bat that this, I feel like, is where Lucha Underground actually felt like an episode of Lucha Underground. It felt straight up like it started with the right kind of vignette. It had the kind of action in the ring. It just had the pacing. This felt like they came back from Aztec Warfare and they're like, oh, guess what? We know what the fuck this show is now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that might be the first F-bomb in this show, by the way, without Casey
let's be careful.
That's amazing.
We're selling commercials.
Oh shit.
That's
I've
amazing.
been on for like 40 minutes and not sworn.
It's but it's great because you see in an episode, maybe episode or two before Aztec Warfare, you begin to see the tone, you begin to see the identity form. And I know when I saw this episode recently, it really stood out to me that it's like, oh, we're in it. Now we're going full speed.
Yeah, that's really how it felt. And the other funny thing is, if you go back and you listen to our interview recently with Eric Van Wagenen, I believe episode 4 and 5, is that right? Yes, 4 and 5. Or no, 120s.
2 and 3.
18. Anyway, go back and listen to our recent episodes with Eric Van Wagenen. He talks about the bull. And this is the moment where he's basically giving an FU right to the overlords at MGM and his bosses, which is why you know he's a cool guy. Because the shit starts on a close-up of something that they were specifically told never to do a close-up of, to not feature heavily in the show. He also manhandles it. They come back to it again. This is a bunch of guys in production having a total laugh in this opening scene with Dario and this bull. And so as soon as I saw that and I remembered our interview with Eric, I was like, oh shit, here's that moment. This is great. And this is also a scene where Phoenix, who we've talked about, is still getting the rub of Dario saying like, look, okay, you seem to be kind of a badass. Let's put it to the test. I'm going to put you up against our new champion and you're going to show us what you're made of. Like, take this guy out for me. I kind of like that Dario is this guy that he'll work with a baby face. He'll work with a heel. He doesn't care. Like, he wants his agenda served. And this is the tone of the vignettes that I think when they don't hit this, we're mad. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, I love the fact that, whenever you're going to open the show and go straight into, a cutscene or vignette or whatever you want to call it, like, those are my favorites. Because that means, like, the story comes first before the wrestling. Not that the wrestling doesn't tell the story, but with this type of show, it's like it's really about the story. So to see Dario, saying, offering Phoenix, like this championship match, and to not only, like, in his Dario way twist his words, it's like, I'm not saying that I just want you to take him out. I want to say that I'm giving you this opportunity for the championship, but you can take him out.
Right. I love it. And it's so refreshing to watch this in the midst of all this other wrestling I've been watching, to not open a show with, tonight we're gonna see these two guys face off, and there's all this tension and heat in the locker room and blah blah blah. Like, it's so nice that it's like, no, we're seeing what the catalyst is for a match that's happening within the show. There's no setup for this from before this. There's no weeks of buildup, but right off the bat, like, you're putting interest into the audience of like, oh shit, yeah, maybe this is the wrestling show where a brand new champion could lose the first week to this guy that's got all this steam behind him, that's got all this push on him. You know, you've seen the push for the last few weeks, and now, like, he's just getting an opportunity to take out the champ. Mm-hmm. Byron, you look like you really have something to say. I'm afraid. But go ahead.
I was gonna kind of bring up what Jim said about the vignette. I personally would disagree a little bit. That I like the hot starts with the matches, but when I watched this one, it did feel kind of cool after having a show that was pure action beforehand. Watching this one recently, I like the change of pace.
I do also like that Dario threw in to destroy Conan, because it not that Conan needed to be elevated, but it kind of puts Conan on this level where he's the one guy that's a little bit of a match right now in Lucha Underground for Dario. And I think it's something that when they lost Conan later, was hard to duplicate. It was hard to have a character like that was around, that could talk and go toe to toe with Dorian. Like, people were doing it in the ring and with their skills and this, that, and the other thing, or every now and then somebody would kind of step up to him, but it wasn't the same. You know, I like that dynamic here. All right. So let's get into this match of the debuts, the debut match of all these people, the huge 4-way debut, which I thought was also interesting, even though they did it with Penta. Who was it? It was Penta, Phoenix, and Drago together.
Yeah. No, this is really cool.
That was different too, because that was all like, hey, these three guys just got up here from Mexico together, and let's see what they can do. This is more like, hey, we're bringing in Argenis, we're bringing in Aerostar, we're bringing in Angelico, and we're bringing in
Angelico.
Yeah, his name
Angelico.
I counted 5 different pronunciations of his name before this show, or on this show. I was just like, what is it? Angelico? Is it Angelico? Is it Angelico? Is it an Angel? What the fuck?
Angel Delight.
It's weird seeing him on AEW for so long, not blowing out a knee or elbow.
Isn't it refreshing? Isn't it nice? I mean, look, Angelico, let's start with Angelico, because I feel like he is a great idea for Lucha Underground. Like, it didn't always pan out because of his injuries, which sucks, and their taping schedule. Because as soon as he was good to go, Lucha Underground was done taping a bunch of times. Like, it just kept happening to him. But like, seeing his size and his frame and some of the stuff that he was able to do in this match, like the dive over the ring post where he still almost cleared all of the dudes way into the seats, like this, and I had seen Angelico a couple of times before this, but seeing it here, it was just like, in this venue, especially with no fencing around the outside, a guy that's that tall doing those spots, to me, it looked great. I loved it.
I mean, it almost looked like that. It almost looked like Vampiro was standing in order to help catch him.
Yeah. I mean, and this is a great spot. If you haven't rewatched this episode, go back and rewatch it, because there's some phenomenal stuff here. And
we're also going to mention KG in the first row.
Yeah, I was going to bring.
Doing his t-shirt. I said this before. Remember, I said this a few episodes back about that prick and his t-shirt.
Wow, Meef is hot today, y'all. I love it.
By the way, shout out to YYHH and the Angelico fans.
Oh, what's up?
Lovely people.
Angelico really has like this interesting following too. When I went to, I think it was the finale for season 2 or something. I was there with J-Man, and Angelico showed up, and he had like a documentary team with him, and like he was like almost this niche star within what was going on in Lucha Underground. Like, he has his own following, which is amazing. And definitely big shout out to Team Angelico, who has always supported him and all of his stuff. And rightfully so. Like, the guy I thought was a great talent, being South African and bringing him in and having the Lucha Libre skills that he has and the ability and the pretty boy look with the hats and everything. And I love too that he comes out in the Lucha Underground shirt here, and that they even called it out. Like, if you're going to slap the merch on somebody to come to the ring, it worked perfectly to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was just foreshadowing. It was foreshadowing to future seasons where he would actually get the logo printed on his gear or painted on his gear.
Painted on, which was amazing. I thought it was a lot of fun. But he wasn't the only debuting star here.
Hey, yo. Are you here to see the MMMshow? Or are you here to see Professor Casey? Survey says another one for the good guys. Buy the shirt on teespring.com/Bazooka Casey. Wear the shirt backwards.
Aerostar looked like $1 million in this match.
Yeah,
like,
he's
so good.
Could you have asked for anything more out of Aerostar, minus the fact that there was no fire can, which is a little disappointing?
Yeah.
I'm sure whatever lawyer EV-Dub was torturing in the back that day just didn't allow it, hence more bull in the edit.
I loved it. There'd be like little bits of fire on the mat afterwards. He's just walking away, ignoring it.
But you didn't get that this time, but you did get some pretty crazy rope bouncing stuff and Escalero stuff, and just like the things that Aerostar was doing blew my mind in this match. I don't know. What did you
the trust fall?
He definitely
the trust falls over the.
Yeah. I
think he's the first person I've ever seen actually use the trust fall in that way.
And he went up, like not just do a kind of semi bounce and fall back. He actually really went up.
Went right up.
Yeah.
Oh, there was actual trust involved in that trust fall, because I mean, if those guys aren't there, it is lights out bad day for Aerostar.
He's one of those luchadors that, for me with Lucha Underground, like took it to a whole new level. You know, like Phoenix with this rope walking, that was the thing that, I'd never seen. I've seen a little bit of AAA and a lot of the WCW product, but you see these guys and you see them doing something that sort of is familiar, but like 150% at 150%.
It's like hopscotch it's like on crack. It's like Cirque du Soleil hopscotch on crack on the ring ropes. It's crazy time. To me,
it reminds me of the Jackie Chan films where they, using the environment. Yeah, that's how I always thought it. It's to me like people will say, "Oh, it's high flying. It's all this FTR, whatever they're called." No flips, just fists. I bet you like fists. Off each
wow! Wow!
Meef.
But the thing is like Aerostar, it's a different type of ring psychology. He's using the entire environment around him, using all the things he can, and pulling off these. Sometimes it wasn't even like coffin drops or like your trust falls. It was just like little kind of things for kicks. For me, it just shows different type of ring awareness and mentality.
What y'all know about Argenis? Oh, what are you gonna say, Byron?
I enjoy how he likes to fall from the highest point in the building in the room that he could find.
Yeah.
That's always kind of cool.
Although there was the one where someone didn't actually catch him properly.
Ooh.
Oh,
God, that was bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't someone, it was like 3 people.
Argenis also looked phenomenal in this match. Again, another great debut, and they found lots of uses for Argenis in Lucha Underground.
Yeah, like
one of the biggest balls that was dropped in Lucha Underground was Argenis. Not even just Argenis as a straight character. He's a really stupidly good wrestler who doesn't get anywhere near. AAA put the Raider Reyes on him and then did nothing, as they always do with somebody.
I mean, that's it. It's like hand the guy a sword and walk away, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you got some costume jewelry now, man, and then did nothing.
He was nothing more than a jobber to the stars in his own gimmick, unfortunately.
He started to do a really good program with Mysteries Jr.
Mr. Says?
The one that's a rip-off of basically his brother.
Yeah. I was also I was always concerned about his employment because of what his brother was always up to.
Why didn't they do more with the Argenis character? Was it just like we have enough regular luchadors, or what?
I think something happened at the end of series one. I don't know if he was one of these guys with visas, or they just wanted him down in AAA to job all the time.
Wasn't he one of the zombies?
Yes.
After season 1, so I think
maybe I don't know. Like we should. I'm going to write that down. Like one of these days when we have somebody who might know the answer to this. Let's find out why.
Can we get Argenis on the show? Argenis, I know you're watching.
Yeah.
Send us a DM.
If you want Argenis on the show, I can do that.
Yeah, let's see if we can do that. That would be awesome because I'd love to know a little more about that story. That'd be fun. And the guy we haven't talked about, who we're going to end up talking about a lot in general, because now he's the FTW champion. From the where is it? The 559?
559.
Which, by the way,
and this one was from the 559.
She wasn't excited yet. She wasn't excited from the 559 yet.
It's basically like when she goes, "The Darewolf," PJ Black. when he debuted, I was just like, "You're stressing the wrong part."
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need to get into that part of the show. Or at least right now, I don't mind doing cool stuff without Casey, but analyzing that part of the show, I don't want him to.
You want to have Casey here for it?
Yes, because then he'll say the stuff without us having to say it.
Well, believe me, there's plenty more episodes to come for it. So
I do want to say though, for me, being from across the pond, if you think it's weird that he's bragging about being from the 559, you're correct.
Yep.
Well, what is the 559?
It's kind of like what a truck stop would be without the trucks.
Without the trucks, that's actually of the funniest
patch
thing.
Of grass or dirt, patch of dirt in the middle of nowhere. Is that?
And Byron does stand up. Byron does stand up comedy every now and then too, guys. So go catch Byron Fever. Is that the way you're supposed to say it, or is it Byron Fever? Catch it.
Catch it. I guess. I don't know.
That's what the SDI clinics calls him.
It's just as contagious as Corona.
It is. It really is, especially when you say things that are actually funny. So anyway, I liked Cage in this match. I actually thought this was a good juxtaposition to not just all have luchadors like we did when we had Phoenix, Penta, and Drago. You had the height with the height and length with Angelico, and then you have Cage in there just looking like a machine. And here's the thing too, for people who are kind of new to Cage, because I know that as much as he's been around, a lot of people still don't really know who Cage is, even from his time in Impact. Like, he's showing up in AEW now, and I see a lot of people are like, "Oh, wow, who is this guy? What's going on here? And why is he getting the rub?" And like, he's been around for a long time. He just hasn't necessarily been in the right spot. And he is not that huge. Like, he's very, very muscular, but he's not all that tall. But in Lucha Underground, I mean, he looks like a fucking killer because of the physique and the speed that he has with it. What is he, about 6'1", maybe?
He's 5'8".
5'8". See, he's actually
we were ringside when he was wrestling Mac, and he was not taller than us.
Right.
He literally is. I got a picture of him, me and him next to each other. I'm like 5'7".
And I think you can see it a couple times in this match too. Like, Angelico is much larger, height wise, especially. But Cage is yoked. He's got the physique, and he's super duper fast. I like that they brought him in to really just kind of do power spots and big man spots right here to kind of put that over. I think that was very smart. Because as you see later as the series goes, he can run ropes too. He can do dives. He can do a lot of stuff. I mean, he's very athletic and fast because he actually does have a smaller frame that allows for a lot of that stuff. But I thought it was a good use.
His amazing.
And of course, he does go over here with some power moves.
He does the Weapon X, right? Which he doesn't do anymore. Which it was a pretty cool move.
And we'll get back to Cage. There's more to talk about with Cage. We're getting to there. So anyway, he goes over in this match. I think it made sense, and I think it was still a glorious debut for all of them. The next match, Blue Demon is back in Lucha Underground. He got his visa checked off for the day, so he showed up to do some chair stuff with Chavo.
I really like how Yeah, when he finally came in the ring, Chavo purposely moved the one chair further away from him because he didn't want to like upset him. But then when they cut back to it later, the chair's back. Continuity.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but also let's be honest here. Like Chavo is this whole segment, right? The Chavo heel heat is what you're getting out of this. It works. It's nothing special, but it totally works. I
when he calls him a fraud.
Yeah.
Best moment.
And true.
How that happened. Yes.
But not much else to say about that. Then we have Cuerno versus Drago. And me and Meef have to get into it because this was the start of me not liking Cuerno.
Yeah, I'm not going to step between you guys on this.
And this is because, okay, look, but this is kind of intentional. Like, this is what happens when you have feuds. You pick a guy. I was a Drago fan coming into it. I mean, he was one of the guys that I wanted to see in Lucha Underground. I was a big fan of Drago's. And, here he is with Cuerno. And to me, I was like, fuck Cuerno. I want him to beat Cuerno up every time, and I want to move on from this. And so this was the start, I think, of my frustration with Cuerno early on. And I'm sorry.
Drago did kill him.
I loved it. And
almost killed himself.
And for the record, HDF is a friend of the show. Phantasma, Escobar, Santos, whatever they're calling him now.
He doesn't like Byron.
Why doesn't he like me?
I definitely had heat with him to begin
from him. He called me, he said, my friend, to me in text.
He says that to a lot of people.
He says that to get that cheddar, them American dollars from your dumb ass.
The great American cash.
I do like that Cuerno brings out the hardware, brings out the table. And this made me instantly ask a question, because in ECW there was kind of an unwritten rule of whoever sets it gets it. So you always knew in ECW, like, oh, that dumbass just brought a table out. He clearly wants to get smashed through a table tonight. I still didn't know at this point with Lucha Underground, like, is that a thing? What is the, like, I found it interesting too that you could have Lucha Libre and still bring in some of those elements. And I thought it worked great in this particular match. I thought it was a perfect use of hardware to me.
I think in most senses nowadays, if you set something up, you're going through it. There's the odd occasion where it doesn't, but it's like two guys obviously spoke about how to set it up. So, but one guy's slightly better at setting it up than the other. So,
Yeah, that happens too.
I love that. It just reminds me, it's probably completely unrelated with the ladder match, HBK and Razor, where
slightly unrelated,
where the belt wasn't hooked right up top, and HBK was like being super finicky about it. Yeah, and Razor, Scott Hall was just like, I didn't care, I wasn't going over, I didn't have to grab it.
That's the way it should work. The end of this match, though, this harkens back to something we talked about earlier. Double count out. Really? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that was weird.
Which for Lucha Underground was quite rare.
But I like it.
For the storyline, like you said earlier.
Well, and I was a little bit pissed because I was just like, oh god, this feud's gonna keep going.
Yes, because doesn't this then start the 2 out of 3?
Something like that, yeah.
Best of 5,
We'll get there soon. We'll find out. And then we end with Phoenix versus Puma for the brand new shitty belt.
Yeah.
The brand new bad belt in Lucha Underground. I'm going to say this about this match overall. I felt like they hadn't had enough time with each other in the ring yet. Still a phenomenal match. Because I watched a lot of wrestling this week, and watching this match compared to a lot of the other stuff that I've seen this week, it was like, oh yeah, these guys are great. But at the same time, I could tell like they hadn't felt each other out enough yet. It was a little sloppy at times. I think they called it on the fly a little too much. Like they didn't quite work out what they were going to do together in some of the spots. So it wasn't super smooth like you're used to, especially from Ricochet. Or I'm sorry, Pumache. I'm sorry, Prince. Whatever his name is.
New Japan. Trevor. They mentioned New Japan in this so many times.
They did. They mentioned AAA and New Japan.
Yeah, I wonder if
Striker. And who else was in the front row?
Dorian.
Yes, he was. Dorian? If we're gonna say his name wrong too, Matt Striker. Sorry, we love you.
It's
Matt.
funny because AAA doesn't have a working relationship with New Japan, but they did try to get Okada on the show.
Yes, the famous backstage picture.
Yeah, they were working on it. It was funny also because no one else backstage or on set knew who Okada was at the temple.
So
Anyways.
I guess my question for you guys is just like, look, these are two of the best in the game, especially at this point in wrestling history. I did not think it was necessarily the best showcase of the two of them, but I still liked the match. I still thought it made a great tone for Lucha Underground. Mm-hmm. What did you guys think of this particular match, this encounter between these two?
I still think it was good. Like, I mean, as you said, you know, they didn't really get a chance to feel each other out. But that aside, I still think the match came off pretty well. And especially, you know, it's the first title defense, and it's really a big showcase for Phoenix, who's, you know, an unheard of name here in the States. I mean, granted, you know, Ricochet wasn't that big of a name, but a lot of people already knew him from Japan and the Indies.
Yeah, and he was the guy with the big paycheck. Let's be honest; they were putting themselves behind him, and Phoenix was, you know, a low mid card guy coming up.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the Phoenix of today. This is how the Phoenix of today got to where he is.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. He's almost like a homegrown talent out of the LU, wasn't he?
He is. He really is. Yeah. He's one of the biggest homegrown stars. Like even Penta had a lot more rub down in AAA than Phoenix did. You know, which led to issues later when Phoenix realized that and decided to throw some birds out to Dorian and his peeps.
And he became a Ray.
Yeah. Lucha Underground definitely made Phoenix with the zombie sort of heel turn, because he started doing a lot more kicks. He started doing a lot more vicious type moveset things. And that has carried into how he carries himself today. I mean, they definitely gave him his Ray Phoenix character gimmick.
They did. All right, Byron, let's sell some more stuff for our overlords, and then let's come right back and talk a little bit about Cage running in at the end and where he's at today with the FTW belt.
Lucha-masks.com.
Lucha-masks.com, in partnership with Mask Republic, give you personal protective masks to keep you Lucha strong in the fight versus COVID-19. With world-class luchadors Blue Demon Jr., the Lucha Brothers, LA Park, Ultimo Dragon, Cain Velasquez, Conan, and so much more. Head to lucha-masks.com and you too can become a masked warrior. Lucha-masks.com, powered by Pro Wrestling Revolution.
Why the disco on? Jesus.
Why not wearing masks?
In 3, 2, 1. You can totally wear your
disco.
Oh my God. So obviously you can see these guys have visited lucha-masks.com. There's an S on the end of that masks there, just like masks, mats, and mayhem.
It's plural. It's very important.
I still got my Taurus here. I'm not wearing it right now because it's a little bit harder to hear me, but it is very still easy to breathe in. Look, and I have purchased.
Can I ask you a question?
I have purchased with my own money a Dark Phoenix. You can in a second. A Dark Phoenix that should be on the way soon. So hopefully I'll have that to show off before I go on the road. What were you going to ask me, Byron?
I was going to ask you if you ordered the mask that has a little ring on the end of it to make the weekends a little more fun.
The Prince Albert thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Could you tell me more?
Well, Prince Albert was a wrestler.
and a Duke.
Or just search it on Urban Dictionary.
Or don't.
Or don't. Look up docking instead. All right.
Isn't he friends with Epstein? Oh no, that's Andrew.
No, different.
Okay,
different.
Albert.
Wow.
Let's be careful how many times you mention that name, because some of us need to be around.
I have a clause in one of my contracts that says I can't talk about that. Anyway, so
wait, what's the
end of
Lucha?
Don't worry about it. The end of Lucha Underground features a run-in from Cage, and I didn't want to talk about this before because I kind of want to talk about some other stuff with Cage. But does a run-in in a title match mean that you're the Lucha Underground champion? I just want to get some clarification here. Is this when Cage won the belt?
He touched it, so maybe.
No. Here's the thing. He had the new belt. He won it. I saw he won the new belt.
The new belt was he. There's a photo of Cage with the new belt somewhere. All right, so we're still getting there. We'll get to it when we get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Slowly but surely.
But I do want to talk about the belt that Cage got this week without doing anything. the FTW belt. When Taz brought out the FTW belt on AEW and cut a great promo on running a clean shop, loved it. I mean, no diss to WWE, but when little things go wrong and the other promotion points it out, I've always loved that. It's part of what made the Monday Night Wars great. If we're gonna have a Wednesday Night War, honest to God, I like both shows, and I hope to God they go at each other's jugulars like that all the time with little digs. Because if you're a smart mark of any kind, that shit's just entertaining. And Taz's whole promo to me being a huge ECW mark, and especially during the period where Taz was really hot because I was finally old enough to go to shows all the time for ECW. Yeah. Like I was there for the Taz run in ECW, and the FTW belt coming out, I can't even tell you, man. That meant so much to me. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it translated to younger audiences or if they
That's the thing. We should point this out to millennials or zennials. It's not the For the Win title.
Wait.
This is when Taz went, ballistic and hating everyone as part of his gimmick. So this was the Fuck the World title.
Yeah, this was Shane Douglas was on the shelf. Him and Heyman or whatever came up with this thing, and Taz just went on this spree. And at the time, and just like Cage that we've talked about before, Taz is not a big guy. So presenting him as a monster was a thing, and it was awesome because you had to give him like this street credibility, this thuggish thing, and he would come out with the towel on and the FTW belt, and it was like they really worked that storyline to the point where it was like, no, that's my champ. They got a lot of people who weren't buying Taz to really go along with, no, that's my champ. The FTW champ is the real champ. It was like, for you Zillennials, it's the BMF title of wrestling. It was like, who cares who the top guy is? Who cares who the mid-level card champ is? Who cares who the TV champ is? This is the real belt. This is the belt for the real shit. This is the belt for a guy who will suplex you through a trash can and then cut your eyeballs out. Taz was the shit. So to me, him giving that to Cage did mean something. And I don't mind Cage having it. I think that that's actually a wonderful thing. Yeah. And Cage is a great wrestler. I literally have no real issue with Cage. I'm not going to say he's the sharpest knife in the drawer, which is the other reason why I like that Taz is with him. Now, look, like every wrestler can't be like the best at cutting a promo. They used him great in Lucha Underground. The way they used Cage in Lucha Underground was great. They didn't avoid stick time for him later on once EV-Dub got cleared to actually let anyone have stick time. They didn't avoid it. Cage talked on the mic every now and then, and he had some bits and whatever, but it was well protected and well crafted, and he had moments. He was never the guy you were going to put in the ring and say, cut a promo on this other guy. He's not that dude. He doesn't need to be. He's a nice guy. He's a super athlete. He likes to hit the gym, drink a protein shake, and hang out and high five. Like, he's a cool dude. But at the same time, he's not the guy I want to put the whole storyline on the back to go in the ring and cut some huge promo. Taz, however, I would do that in a heartbeat. And I love that they're doing that. This is what we talk about all the time. Like, my God, Ricochet even. Like, dear Lord, you want to see Ricochet go to the top? Put him with a guy who can talk like Taz.
MVP.
Yeah. Please, by all means. And these,
MVP is trying to promo for half the roster right now.
He is Monday Night Raw to me right now. Like, if I'm watching Raw, it's to see MVP. I kid you not. I never felt like MVP was as huge a star to me right now as he is. Like, he just knows the business. He learned the business. He knows what the hell he's doing, and it shows. And so much of the rest of that roster is waiting for direction, and he's not. He's leading. Mm-hmm. You can clearly tell. And I think Taz is doing the same thing too. I think when he came into AEW, he was like, look, I've been in Vince's shop. I've been in Paul Heyman's shop. I know what's what. Like, let me come in here and do some stuff. Like, I don't need to just sit in the booth. You got guys over there in the booth. Let Excalibur keep his spot. Let's find something else for me to do. And I think when Taz was given this opportunity, he was going to run with it. I guarantee the FTW thing was his idea because it's sitting on his shelf. No one's going to pitch that in a pitch meeting. Like, let's take Taz's belt off the shelf and give it to someone else. Nobody else pitched that.
I would like to see him with a whistle and a cap.
No, you don't want to see Taz wrestle at all.
No. I want to see him with a whistle and a cap. I want to see him with a whistle and a cap.
You want to see him Bill Alfonso it?
Yeah.
All right.
Go whole hog. Go whole
right
hog.
down the middle.
They need to have Sabu limp down to the ring.
What would have been really great though is if on the FTW title, it still had like the masking tape that said Sabu, but then they just crossed it out.
Crossed it back out again.
Yeah.
It says Taz, doesn't it? It's still inscribed Taz.
I mean, the belt was made for Taz. That's why Sabu was pissed when he won it, because they couldn't nameplate it.
Dude, how many people backstage were pissed though when Taz said the sloppy shop thing? Because I mean, he was real tight at WWE for a while.
He was right with it, because you have their COVID stuff, and then you have the fact that one of their green guys who barely does anything at all, the recruits, blew the ending of the match.
Oh yeah,
which somehow I miraculously avoided.
That's great.
Wow.
So happy for you. But I saw a picture of Keith Lee standing with both belts under confetti. I'm like, well, great. That would have been really cool in a week.
Yeah, been really cool 3 hours from now.
Yeah. It
came out Thursday, didn't it?
No, it came out a long time ago.
So you're saying he MVP'd it and not in the new MVP kind of way?
Well, here's the thing. MVP wasn't spoiling matches. He was spoiling NDAs.
And for those who don't know what we're talking about, MVP let something slide about Lucha Underground while he was working there, which is part of his demise from that company, which was kind of sad at the time. I don't know. There was talk that he might have ended up being Pindar or something else, and that there was plans for MVP at Lucha Underground. And seeing where he's at now, I really kind of am sad. Like, it would have been nice to see what he could have brought to it. Like,
that's where you have
flipping Pindar as well. He's used to wearing that kind of top. So he would have been fine in that role.
Well, exactly. It makes sense. That costume makes perfect sense, because that really is more his zip-up style.
You talk TV versus wrestling company, and that's him, Conan. Those are elements where you really see the difference.
Which brings me to the question, like, what would Lucha Underground have been like season 4 if you had still had those guys around to help out with the run and gun crazy shit that happened season 4? Like, I feel like they could have really helped smooth that out if you had an MVP in the back.
Yeah.
Not that London is a slouch or Chavo, because those guys were the guys that they had in the back then. Agenting matches. Who was the third agent? Oh, Stryker was doing Stryker and Vampiro together, kind of were the third agent.
Yeah.
These are the MVP and they've got a few more years on them, haven't they? So they have a bit more.
Well, they don't have more years on Vamp,
right? But
but more, everything else on Vamp.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes.
If Conan was around,
in a different environment than Vamp has, but
they would have had.
Look at what Conan. But just look at Conan. I'm not being funny. When Conan left Lucha Underground, he literally ran wrestling.
I mean, it was the best. Honestly, you gotta say that Conan leaving Lucha Underground might have been the best thing that ever happened to wrestling as a whole, outside of the good things that Vince McMahon has done, of which there are a few. Like the amount of impact that Conan has had outside of Lucha Underground and how hard he decided to go to work after it. I don't know if that shit just fell in his lap or if he was really hustling or what, but who knows? Anyway, I really do like it. The FTW thing, it's great. I'm actually interested in seeing where that goes. And
it's the same storyline too. It's the same storyline.
Yeah. It really is, and we'll see what happens with the whole Mox thing now.
What I really love about it, though, is to me being familiar with Cage. I mean, you brought up the point how most casual fans wouldn't be familiar with them at this point, and I agree. But because Impact would be the biggest TV he was on, and he didn't really do much, and then he got the belt and was injured and left. All
right. Well, look, we got to take another quick break, and then I want to call back and talk Wall of Shame. You'll have a chance after the break, Byron.
All right.
Want to talk Wall of Shame, and I want to talk something new, the Wall of Fame. We'll be right back. We'll talk about it.
If you're listening to this and you haven't visited luchacentral.com, it's time to do it. LuchaCentral.com is the online home for Lucha Libre, where you can get all of the top news in English and in Spanish. Find the best curated video content and original content not seen anywhere else. Find when Lucha Libre events would be happening in your area. Find photo galleries from top photographers covering Lucha Libre around the world. From weekly polls to annual awards. seen and read by top executives in all of the major Lucha Libre promotions across the globe. And on top of that, it's free. LuchaCentral.com, your centralized place for all things Lucha Libre.
Byron, I'm sorry I cut you off before the commercial. You had something to say that was important to get to before the Wall of Fame and the Wall of Shame? Because I'm going to do something new with the Wall of Fame.
I was looking at the Lucha Central website, and I was very happy with it.
That's it? That's all you're going to say? You weren't going to say anything about Brian Cage?
What I was going to say with Cage is he comes in, he's been introduced to companies like Lucha Underground as this huge monster, and when he came in, I thought he was going to eat Puma alive, and then Puma won, and then Cage never really, this is going to go against some of our show kayfabe, but he never got back in the main event in the title picture after that. He kind of got sort of...
After he won the belt.
Right.
And then he got his own sort of, the gimmick with the glove and stuff, and he was cool, but he...
Gauntlet. Love, no love.
With the gauntlet, But it's just like, here's this guy Cage. When is he going to get his run on top? When is he going to get his run on top? He comes in as like a feeder to the champ. That's the type of guy he seems to come across as. And in Impact, he was kind of that guy until the very end. And then he did a dumb move and got hurt until the end of his contract.
Well, getting hurt's not necessarily a dumb
move. Well, it's just, whatever. But in AEW, he's coming in to do the same thing, to be real honest with everyone. He's coming in as a feeder to the champ, so the champ has a good program. And then what's he going to do, So I love the FTW belt. No, I'd keep him there, but let him lose to Mox. Let him keep the FTW belt and do what he does.
Do you really think you keep it on Mox at this point? I don't know that the Mox experiment is working.
To be fair, that's because there hasn't been an audience to experiment on.
Right. So let's take it off of him for right now. Like this is the time when AEW should do something that you wouldn't expect. Put it on Cage. Put it on Orange Cassidy. Do something crazy that's going to make people stand up and watch and say that AEW is something different, and get it off the WWF guys. You just have to me at this point. It's the biggest criticism of the show. I think it's holding a lot of fans back. People want an alternative, and it sucks because these guys who have come out of WWF want an alternative for themselves too, and they don't want to be associated with WWF, and they want to be seen in this new light, but suck it. Sorry, Mox, you got a huge run in WWF. People are going to look at you that way for a while. Suck it, Jericho. Yeah. You were the first unified champ. Suck it, Jake Hagar. You were a fucking WWE superstar and the last Underground champion. Which
Jericho.
Why do we have to mention that?
Jericho was the best. I wasn't down with it at the very beginning, but he was the absolute perfect choice to be champion.
I don't disagree with it, but what I'm saying is that time has ended, and they do need to do something else. A guy like Cage, a homegrown talent, not even Omega or one of the and Omega has had his WWE time too, which people tend to forget. But he is a New Japan star. But they have to break the mold.
I think the Cowboy is going to be the first big one, but you have to do it in front of a crowd, and they're still building.
Jesus Christ!
I don't know, but I don't know.
After people there, I wouldn't even fucking employ myself.
Yeah, like the whole. What I think would be great. What I think would be great would be Cage to win it off of Mox in maybe a controversial fashion, but to win it and then throw it down and say, "I'm keeping the FTW title. You guys can have this belt." Yeah. Just fuck it off and do something crazy, and then have an open tournament for the champion and just kind of reset things.
I have heard rumors that they were wanting to make some changes to the AEW championship belt, and
Cage is a great guy to come in and break a belt. That's for sure.
Do that gimmick again,
as if they didn't already put out. They're not even fully released yet. The action figure line with the belts. And the toy belt that they just created for it, it's like I don't think they're going to change that belt anytime soon.
I don't know. Well,
you buy them for an extra $5, Jim.
It would be cool if you throw it down. All right, so let's get to some shout outs and let's do a Wall of Fame and a Wall of Shame.
Do we want to talk about the 8-man?
We'll do it after.
After?
We can talk about it. I don't care. Let's get to shout outs though. Let's see who's talking about us and saying good things. Is there anybody?
We forgot last week.
Is there anybody? Well, first of all, Bad Hombre always gets the big shout out because he reposts the show. People listen because of him. He's the homie. Gotse. Did I say it right, Meef? Gotse?
Gotse.
Always big shout out to him. Big shout out to Zeus and our homies over there at, what's the name of their show, Meef?
Mark Out Mania.
Ma'am. Yeah. Do they call it ma'am?
No, ma'am.
We call our show
Mom.
They see it works better when you say it.
Got to give a shout out to the original Lucha Click as well.
Okay, show off the shirt that you're wearing here. These are the guys I want to shout out. The godfathers of Lucha Underground podcasting, the last real heels. Rest in peace. They are still the homies. I got to talk a little MMA with J-Man on the Twits last week. It made me happy. Made me miss the old times. They're still the originals. They're still badass. Still love those guys. Don't care if they hate us. They might have heat. I don't know.
They did a couple podcasts recently. I talk to them all the time.
Byron's been on their show.
Doesn't mean they don't like you, Byron.
That's also true.
We talk to you. We talk to you all the time.
I mean, I think if there's any fallout between us and the last real heels, it's because Byron is our money mark and doesn't just feed them money.
I bought a
shirt.
Yeah,
we stole him.
That's worth heat. That's worth heat. All right, Byron.
You should buy Urban shirt.
You got these shout outs for me?
Yeah, we got one new review.
All right. I'll take it.
On the iTunes app.
Who is it? What did they say and how awesome are they? Is it a 5-star?
It is a 5-star by someone who calls himself Sweet Daddy Diddy.
Okay. That's a choice.
The review headline, these guys know what's up. The review says, awesome show. Love the banter. Wrestling is probably the greatest form of entertainment ever, and these guys do it justice.
All right, then.
5 stars.
All right.
I'll take that.
When he says these guys, I mean, he means these guys except Byron, right?
I think he's referring to...
Is there like a parentheses except Byron?
Everyone
Byron's the banter part. See, that's why we have Byron, is so we can abuse him.
Everyone you see right now.
It's fun.
Wait, Banta. Isn't Banta the thing that Brits used to pick up on chicks?
Bants.
Or is that...
Pants?
Is it
trousers?
Trousers.
You know what? You know what's really funny?
You got some band. He's got a great band.
What's another word for pants?
Trousers. Pantaloons.
No.
Wow. I don't know where this is going. All right. Let's talk Wall of Fame, Wall of Shame, or you want to talk you want to talk to 8-Man, don't you? Talk to 8-Man, Byron. Talk about the 8-Man.
No, we can talk about the
talk about the 8-Man. I want to close with the Wall of Fame.
I very much enjoyed the 8-Man tag. I thought it was great. That Super Destroyer was awesome. Phoenix is super awesome, running the ropes. He does all this crazy stuff. His brother doesn't do shit anymore. Vampiro.
25 minutes.
Huh?
What? I didn't say anything.
Vampiro. Now, first of all, I could talk all the shit I want. This guy's rich, right? He's rich and he's fat and he barely does anything anymore. And he came to the ring this week with spikes on his mask, right? You see a guy with spikes on his mask, you're like, oh, this guy is not bumping tonight. You know, I mean, slaps and ham kicks.
What did I say to you about this match yesterday? What was my quote?
I don't want to use his real name.
Well, okay. It wasn't even just that. Like, this match to me, we're talking about the 8-man tag thing on Fyter Fest at AEW, was just a hot clusterfuck of hell no, I don't want to watch this to me. The Super Mexican Destroyer was phenomenal. I will say that. I loved that spot. I like Phoenix. The rest of this match, I threw up in my mouth a little bit. It just was not what I wanted to see. It was just such a cluster of cliches and all the things we talked about earlier, of the things that I just don't care for. And I like all of these performers. I do. I really do. I just thought this was the least compelling way to move the story forward, the least compelling way to show me the action that they wanted me to see. I just didn't buy it. It was crazy. What did I say, Byron?
What was that new gimmick name you came up with?
I don't know. What was it? You can read it. I'm not looking at that.
It wasn't
Something hot pants?
No, it was. Were you talking about Johnny Mundo? Where you called him Johnny Fat Boy or something?
Johnny Fathead? Johnny Fat Boy?
Johnny Fathead? Johnny Gimmick?
Johnny Ham Slaps.
Yeah, but he's in WWE now.
Oh, you're right. No, and he had a great thing last week with the barefoot guy with the bro and the teeth.
Yeah, let's not talk about Matt Riddle.
That guy. I didn't say it. You said it. I didn't say it. I said the guy with the bare feet and the teeth and the bro.
When are you going to apologize for something? Or should I say not apologize and just basically say that someone's a liar for something that happened, which means allegedly, etc.
Moving shows in the same promotion fixes everything. Stop it.
You don't wear an SPLX hat. That's all I'm saying.
What if he doesn't have any other hats?
Anyway, I did not like the 8-man tag match, Byron, to answer the question.
What did you think of Jericho and
Jim?
Cassidy?
Did you watch AEW? Did you like the 8-man tag match, Jim?
I mean, I liked it, but just because I liked it doesn't mean I didn't recognize the cluster that it was.
Okay. But see, that's fine. If you're entertained, that's good.
I mean, it did its job, but basically every complaint that anyone has ever had about AEW tag team wrestling as far as the rules, that all applied to this match tenfold.
Yes, that's part of my point. It was I just had this kind of itchy level of aggravation through the whole thing. I wanted to enjoy it. I swear to God I did, because I like all of those performers. I just was like, please stop doing that. Make this a regular match somehow.
Make it end.
Anyway, Wall of Fame, Wall of Shame. Here we go. Let's get back to this Wall of Shame. I have a major question here. I'm looking back to the actual Wall of Shame, so I get all these people right. Jojo Feeney, still on a list as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if I'm ever going to forgive him. He's still on the Wall of Shame for that time.
Still not heard it.
From that time that we were supposed to get mentioned on K100, and for some reason it got blamed on Klein Rock that we didn't. I still blame Jojo Feeney. Brit Wrestling, pedos, predos, pervs, still on the Wall of Shame. And abusers.
Yeah. Not going away for a while.
And bullies in wrestling. Thunder Rosa kept bullies in wrestling on the wall.
Yep. British wrestling will be going away for a while.
Yeah. Jeffrey Briggs, JT Wilcoxon, the guys who are bringing back Lucha Underground with a new trademark filed for Lucha Underground Wrestling. Shame. Just send me your money, you fucking marks.
Do you have any new emails from them?
No, I feel like I need to cut off correspondence because I'm being mean I'm being mean to people that really need to seek counseling and help. I feel like
we should get them on the show and try and help them.
I feel like it's an actual serious issue and maybe not even a joke. Like, we should get them some counseling. All right. Well, Tessa Blanchard still on the list for phoning it in. And, you want to talk about people who might still get a job, even though weird things are circling around them. She might be one of them too, Meef. So you might have more to be angry about soon.
Angry about something.
The Lucha Gringo came on and off the list, but is he back on the list for not being here right now?
Let's put him on the list. Last time we recorded, he
no.
This time
he's doing something very magical.
He's doing God's work right now.
Hold on.
He's doing God's work, Byron. He's doing God's work.
I must have missed this. Have missed this.
It's fine.
He's a very good reason for not being here.
What is it? It's fine. Last time he missed us. He missed us to play PlayStation.
Last time he missed us, he was on another wrestling podcast that same morning.
Yeah, put him on the list. Put him on the list.
Yeah, that's not the case this time, though, Byron. You're missing
the point. What is the case this time?
Okay, no.
If it makes you feel better about him not being on this show but being on Markup Mania that morning, because he didn't want to talk about wrestling, and obviously we talk about wrestling.
He probably talked about wrestling.
No, he did, because I went on and hijacked the show and made him talk about wrestling. So if it makes you feel better.
You went on the show too?
Your fault, me.
Yeah.
He was all wrestled out because of you. All right. But so here's the other question mark.
So he's on Markout Mania again this week.
Is Overlord Kevin Kleinrock still on the list? I wasn't the one that put him on there, so I can't make this decision.
I would take him out. No, he's on the wall of He's on the wall of shame. Happy with.
Are you happy with Kleinrock?
I like Kleinrock, man. He's.
Jim hates him.
Well, Jim wants
to fight him at Triple Mania.
Jim is waiting on a mask. So there's a half vote from Jim. I can feel it. And I believe that Casey's got probably reasons for. Okay, so we're just gonna hold. It's a holdover. He's still on the wall.
I will say one thing.
So let's get Casey back here and we'll figure this out.
Let's just cut me off and go on to the next thing now.
I'm just gonna say that Kevin there's some amazing things because we're gonna say about figures. Remember figures, because our figures aren't gonna be out for another 3 months at least.
Figures.
But I will say figures with attitude.
How excited!
Hashtag it.
Okay,
there's gonna be some amazing figures coming out soon. All right.
You just took a really cool name and you made it sound as uncool as possible.
He says figures. He says figures the same way that Thunder Rosa says WWE incorrectly. And I love Mel. And if you haven't listened to our show with Mel, go back and listen to it because she got so fired up in part 2. That shit was inspirational to me. Yeah. I love every minute of that.
You got all right. Back.
Wall of Fame. I'm starting a new thing.
That Vampiro will have breaking news on some other show a long time ago. Vampiro will have a little doll now.
Yes.
From Lucha Libre Figures and Facts.
Yeah,
because another great podcast right here on the Lucha Central Podcast Network.
I remember months ago,
going live right now,
where someone was like, "Oh man, Mass Republic, you're doing the Legends of Lucha Libre. It's a bummer that you couldn't get one, or you're not doing one with Vampiro," and they replied, "Oh, we tried and it just didn't work out. We couldn't come to a deal. That's all." And the Vampiro replies, just straight up bitching everyone out. "What the fuck? Leave me out of this. I don't want a doll. I just want to live my life. I retired from wrestling." He just I'm about to go on stage with ICP right now or something. Like he was just like, and then 10 minutes of tweeting later, he was just like, whatever. No one approached me to work out a deal. Peace and love, everyone.
sounds
not only is he getting one, but now which is in the slightly less version of the figures, he's going to get an elite version, which is probably 1 or 2. So maybe 3 figures. After saying he doesn't want a figure, he's had a figure from WCW. It's in the past. His wrestling doesn't wrestle anymore.
Somebody tweet him and ask him if he wants to come on the show and talk about his doll.
Yeah.
Make sure you use the word doll. Just saying.
Also, I'm excited to check out his new show, by the way.
Okay, I'll give you this. We can call it an action doll. How about that? Will that make him feel better?
I feel like
Action Force.
Somewhere, wherever Casey is.
Command.
So
wherever Casey is right now, whatever he's doing, which I'm very suspicious about.
He's watching Vampiro's new show on El Rey Network.
He just got even more than usual, a sense of anger and rage just pulsated through him every time I said doll.
Yes, we love
and the fact that. So here it was Action Force, and we had Viper Chiefs, not Cobra Command.
What the hell is wrong with you people?
Cool.
Why would you just? Okay, the Wall of Fame. I'm adding someone for the first time to the Wall of Fame.
I accept.
That person. Nope. That person is Tony Khan. I'm putting Tony Khan on the Wall of Fame. Even though I have talked mad shit about certain aspects of AEW tonight, I'm putting Tony Khan on the Wall of Fame because he got all fired up about tweets about being 7th place in the 18 to 49 demographic for AEW's second part of Fyter Fest. And kudos to him, because people who don't understand the way ratings work and the importance of them and what they mean for somebody who is putting their heart and soul into a TV show can't possibly understand what was going on behind that tweet. But that was probably the most personally important tweet that he's put out about AEW yet. And a lot of people gave him shit. And, I heard Disco Inferno giving him shit about so us people over 50 don't matter anymore. And way to play your own kayfabe of being younger, Disco. But
Disco did the whole thing where he takes what you said and twists it and then counter arguments that, because Tony Khan was like, hey, this is the demo. This is a demo that we keep score with and that we make money with, but we love all of our fans. Trust me. Thank you for watching the show. And Disco is like, oh, you think 50-year-olds should be left on the street to die? I'm against that. You're a horrible person.
Right. And look, he's just doing it to get a rise. But I gotta say, Tony Khan, I love the way this guy does business. He's on the Wall of Fame. And this is a big moment for him because he took a huge risk. And I don't think people understand that. He stuck his neck out with TNT. He put his money on the line. He put his money where his mouth is to back up these guys that came at him with a good idea, who were friends. He had money. He's a fan of wrestling. It was like, okay, you guys in the elite and Cody, like, hey, let's go with this thing. Like we can run a couple shows, and I think this has got legs. And you know, I know how to do this. We can do this. And this is the moment where he's gets to actually sit back in his chair and breathe for a second of like, oh my God, guys, we're on a cable network. We do a weekly wrestling show during a pandemic that's been totally crazy. You know, I'm having to fire wrestlers now for dumb shit that they've done, you know, before they even got here because they're knuckleheads. Like, but guess what, man? It's paying off. People are watching this show. People are appreciating it. And I appreciate them for appreciating it. And I just absolutely love the way that Tony Khan does business. He's on the Wall of Fame. He's what Vince McMahon never could be. And I hope to God that he has the utmost success. And I know he doesn't book the whole show. Apart
from Fulham.
Yeah, whatever.
We don't want Fulham to any success, all right? No Fulham access.
Look, we don't know anything about your football over there, your whatever you guys call football. I know he's involved in that stuff too. But Tony Khan, absolute mensch, love him, on the Wall of Fame. Hope nobody disagrees. And if you have a suggestion for the Wall of Fame or Wall of Shame, please hit us up at MMMshow75. Hit the DMs. Byron goes through them on his free time sometimes. And thanks to @ByronFever, thanks to @TheJimmyV, @MeFlove. And until next time, stay calm and stay in the mix.
Can we put Sting on next?